everybody, welcome back. Another beautiful day on the farm. Today I'm going to show you how to make quilt boxes. You're going to learn all about them. So come with me. It's going to be a nice little project. Help keep our bees alive during the wintertime. Let's check it out. A quilt box is something that we put in the beehive in the fall, late fall, wintertime, and it keeps moisture out of the hive. Where we live in the Northeast, the bees, they kind of need to be taken care of a little bit more than maybe some of the beehives that are down south, maybe in the Carolinas, Georgia, or Florida. In this area, it can get below freezing quite often in the wintertime. Rarely does it get below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, but we kind of have to prep for that and make sure the bees are safe, and the chances of survival throughout the winter are a lot better. To do that, we have to make something that's called a quilt box. It's basically a little frame. It's about that big, goes around the top of the beehive, and in there you got to use some burlap, some pine shavings, and the design of this thing is to get moisture out of the hive. If it's too cold in the wintertime and the beehive has enough moisture in it, that moisture is going to condense, and then last thing you want is for that stuff to drain or rain down on the bees. Moisture mitigation in the beehive is kind of paramount where we are in the Northeast. I kind of equate trying to keep the moisture out of the hive. It's kind of like you walking around in the wintertime when it's cold out with maybe shorts and a t-shirt, and then maybe some shoes. You will be cool, but if you move around, you'll probably be okay for a brief period of time. But if you were to douse yourself with water and you'd be completely wet, you'd probably get hypothermia and bad things happen from that point. It's kind of like that with bees. You want to keep the moisture out of the hive, keep them dry, so that way they can keep themselves warm and they stay strong throughout the winter, and hopefully they get to survive the wintertime. So before you start building these things, you got to get all the tools. Some of the tools you need: a pair of scissors, staple gun, staples, probably preferably stainless steel staples, burlap, like burlap cloth. You need some hardware cloth, that's like a heavy duty wire mesh. A drill bit that's, I don't know, half-inch size drill bit, and then you obviously need these wooden shims that we use in the beehive. These are some of the quilt boxes we have to fix today. So you can see the bees have chewed through this. They've also probably built some comb on the back side of this. This is the bottom. The frames would be up towards you. And we take these things out and we have to inspect the hive. Sometimes they'll start tearing or whatever, but it's pretty easy fix. Right now we have 9 or 10 beehives, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 of these. I will have to pull the burlap out of a few of these. I'll show you how to do that, try to get the staples out also. And then we'll put in new burlap into these so that they'll be ready to go this winter. These are the holes that you end up needing to drill in these frames. I don't know, this is probably as big as my finger. It's probably a half 5/8 inch hole. You can drill a couple holes. That's what I did in some of these. And then on the outside, this is hardware cloth. That's just stapled in place. All this is designed to do is to allow airflow around these pine shavings and help dry them out, so that way they don't turn into just a soppy mess. You can find the hardware cloth at your big box store, even online. You get this heavy duty mesh. You do need some sort of tin snips to cut these, and you also need to wear gloves because these the hardware cloth could end up cutting your hand, so it doesn't feel good. Since we did use these last winter, you can see this one definitely has a nice big hole in it, and it probably started to tear when we were taking these frames out, or taking these shims out. But first thing I do to clean up last season stuff, I just get a pair of scissors and cut all this burlap out just like this. Now that we got most of the burlap out of the way, now all we have to do is start pulling these staples out. Easiest way I found to get these out, flathead screwdriver. Looks pretty sharp. You could use a knife, but flathead screwdriver works pretty good. All I do is shove it in there and start pulling them out. You might be asking yourself, why is there water or moisture in the hive in wintertime? It shouldn't be humid outside. It's not. But the bees use a lot of water. They use water for cooling, and there is moisture in the nectar, and a little bit of moisture in the honey. But these bees are animals, and in order for them to survive the winter, they have to create heat. Any amount of heat that they create is going to conflict with the cold outer part of the boxes where the frames are. It's cold outside, it's hot inside, and any moisture that is in the hive is going to condense on the walls of the hive and even on the ceiling. So these are on the top of the hive, and any moisture that forms at the top of the hive, it's going to interact with the wood, and the wood is going to act like a sponge and hopefully soak all that up. One down, 4 more to go. Second one's done. All right, that's 10 of them. Magic of editing, didn't take a whole lot of time. Now, we got all the staples pulled, we got all the old burlap out of the way. Now next is we just have to cut new pieces of burlap, and then we'll staple them in. All right, here's the burlap. From here, all you need is a pair of scissors. Open this up, and we're going to use this quilt box as a template. It doesn't have to be too terribly perfect. You do want a little bit of extra, because we're going to staple this to the inside of this frame. So there we go. So when you're stapling the burlap, you want to staple it to the inside of the frame, not the outside. So you'd ultimately want this to be on the inside, just like this, and you want to staple it to the inside. You could use a regular hand staple gun. I splurged a little bit. Bought one of these from the home center. It's pneumatic, it uses air. I have a nice air compressor in the shed here. And you can just go to town, and it takes like no time at all. But let's get this thing hooked up and get this thing built. All right, so today we're going to be using that pneumatic stapler. Don't forget, make sure you wear eye protection. All right, so before we get to stapling, we want to make sure this is spaced evenly, left to right. And at the edge is almost aligned with this. If it's almost aligned with this, then it'll be aligned on the other side. All we need to do is put a few staples all the way across. So you can see real close, I got most of the staples in. There are a couple that haven't made it all the way in, but you don't have to worry about it. You're still in good shape. Just tap it in. Just tap it in. Hey. Just tap it in. All right, we got all these squared away. Now we just have to get into the corners. So I'm just gonna take the nail gun and just get a couple into the corners here. So that way it's nice and snug. Just like that. And I probably wouldn't go, this is the bottom of the lip right here of the frame. I wouldn't go any lower than maybe 1/4 of an inch. I wouldn't go all the way to the edge, because when this thing is pulled tight, you just want this to be, you don't want it to sag too much. All right, this side's done. We're gonna do the opposite side. It's almost the same thing. Make sure that it's squared up. And I like to start from the middle, pull it nice and snug. I have about 1/2 an inch on the back side. Watch my fingers. There's one right there. I'm gonna get the other side, and I'm kind of grabbing the material, pulling, and then pushing this way. That's why it gets nice and tight. Same thing. Do on the other side. Same thing. And even what you can do, you can kind of pull on this and use the stapler to kind of get the burlap tight. All right, so this quilt blanket is just about done. It's nice and snug here. There's not going to be a whole lot of weight that rests on this. It's just going to be some pine shavings. But what we need to do now is just clean up the excess stuff that's kind of hanging up. It's better to have a little bit of extra rather than not enough, then you got to start all over. This doesn't have to be anything too crazy, just to get the extra material out of the way. That's all we got to do. All right, so this quilt box is pretty much done. You could see that I didn't staple all the way up to the edge. There's about 1/4 to maybe 1/2 inch all the way around. So last thing you want is to be stapling all the way up to this edge, and it just splits that pine wood out, and then it falls apart, and that's not good. Once you get things squared away, everything's cut and kind of to size, you can kind of do all this in pretty, not a whole lot of time. So that pneumatic stapler made quick work of putting this burlap in these quilt boxes. Now all I have to do is just trim off the extra. I have a shed full of all kinds of bee equipment. Let me go ahead and put a hive together. I'll go over the names and then what we use these quilt boxes for. So this is your hive. I've simplified it quite a bit for you. I'm going to go over the quick bits and pieces right now. But this is your entrance. There's an entrance reducer here. This is called a deep. It's called a honey super lid. And that thing right in top that you can see with a little hole in the middle, that's called a inner cover. Let's go ahead and open these up and take a look. Here's a lid. Lid is made out of wood, pine. It's nailed together, glued, and then it has this tin cover on it. Protects the wood from the elements like rain, stuff like that. Go ahead and take it off. You can see what it looks like. It's just wood. Right here's an inner cover. The inner cover is also has an entrance right here, a very small entrance that the bees can climb through and then enter the hive from the top of the hive. So we'll take the inner cover off, and then this is called the super or honey super. The way we set up our beehives, we run 8 frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are 8 frame honey frames. Normally during peak honey production, we'll have 2 of these. These are called deeps. We'll have one here, and then we'll start putting on our honey supers. All right, here we go. So I've got one of the frames opened up, and this is where the bees will store the honey in these little holes right there. They'll bring back nectar, and they'll put the nectar in these holes. They'll beat their little wings until it dries out to a certain point, and then they'll cap it. So we're done looking at the honey super. We'll take this off. This is pretty light right now because there's no honey in here. And then we get down to the deep. So the way the beehive, the way the hive is organized, the queen will lay eggs in the lower part of the hive first, in the middle. She'll lay in the lower box and then in the middle first. She'll grow out from there, and then when she runs out of room, then she'll go up into the next deep. That's why generally we'll run 2 deeps. One here, one right above it. So that way she has plenty of room to lay eggs. Now this little dowel right there, we go ahead and pull that out. It's got a little hole. When it's time to treat the hive for pests, we'll pull that dowel out. So that way we have an opening that we can put things into, chemicals into, to help kill pests. Now in the deep, the frames look pretty much the same. These haven't been drawn out yet. This is called foundation. This foundation has a little bit of wax on it to help promote the bees to draw the comb up and out. And then they'll either put resources or eggs and brood in there. The queen will lay eggs in there if she wants to. All right, after the slotted rack, now comes the deep. We put that on. And depending on the size of the hive, if you have a lot of bees, you might have a second deep on here. If it's a small hive, there's not a lot of extra bees, it'll be a lot easier for them, and the survival rate will go up much more if you just have one deep. We are not going to run a honey super in the wintertime. This is going to be full of honey that we would have already taken out in the summertime. So we're not going to put the honey super on a winterizing hive. All right, so after the deep is on, obviously we're not going to use the honey super. We need one more thing, and we need a spacer in here. We need a spacer that will give us a little bit of height off of the frames, so that way we can put our quilt box on. We'll load this up with pine shavings. Now, in here, I'll show you this right now. In here, there's enough room that we can put down some wax paper, and then we can put some raw white sugar right on top. That'll give the bees a little extra food if they need it, in case they can't find anything during the winter time. You always want them to have plenty of food. You don't want them to get hungry, because then they're going to get sick and then they could die, and that's not good. Quilt box is on. Inner cover. And then we top it off with the lid. Did we do anything special with the hive to keep them warm or anything like that? No, we don't wrap the hive. We don't put heaters in. We don't do anything like that. It's just as it is, just a regular hive. The bees will keep themselves warm. So long as they're dry, they'll be able to keep themselves warm just fine. They'll eat plenty of food. If it gets really cold, they're going to eat a lot more sugar, and that's why we check on them every now and then. Not only do we have sugar in there, sometimes we'll run fondant. It's a bee-friendly fondant that they can eat. It's like a very thick paste, almost it's malleable kind of, and they'll use that and eat that throughout the winter too if we put some of that in. So that's it. That's making quilt boxes for the beehive. It's not too terribly difficult. Just takes a little bit of time, a couple hours, and it ensures the survival of our bees. So if you live in an area where it's a little on the chilly side in the wintertime, it might be worth making a couple of these. It's a nice little fun project. It doesn't take a lot of time at all. And put those on, so that way you have bees once it starts getting warmer. You have bees in the springtime. Hopefully they'll survive, and they'll be able to make honey as soon as the flowers start booming. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, family, loved ones, and I'll see you on the next video.